I read all about that day, so I know for a fact that it went down very differently.
When you think about games set in the Wild West, I wouldn't be surprised if Red Dead Redemption series is the first thing that comes to mind. I would argue that for a certain period of time before Red Dead Redemption, only one franchise stood as king of the Western genre, and that is Call of Juarez. The first two games were a smash hit, but then the creators Techland, in my honest opinion, shot themselves in the foot with a very tone-deaf and poorly received third entry. Just like Call of Duty and Battlefield transitioned from World War settings to modern times, the third game, Call of Juarez the Cartel, attempted that same jump, ditching horses for cars and fast-draw revolvers for Uzis and machine guns.
That's stupid. Why?
And in one fell swoop they lost everything that made the franchise special. Which brings us to the fourth entry, Call of Juarez Gunslinger. And I would argue that out of the four, this is Techland's best work. Too bad it was also their last.
They got it wrong. A sad end for those two. I was attacked by some asshole on a Gatling gun.
Well, seems like you run into a lot of them.
Asshole?
Gatling guns.
What have we got here? A fucking comedian.
You know the drill, we're entering spoiler territory. If you don't want anything spoiled, skip to this timestamp. For those of you who are still here, here's how it goes. You play as an old famous bounty hunter named Silas Greaves. Recognized by the patrons, he's approached by a young man named Dwight, who asks him to share stories from his past. Silas obliges, taking everyone on a series of wild and, according to him, honest-to-God true stories of his bounty hunting days. Stories where he claims to have written alongside Billy the Kid and crossed paths with Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid, Johnny Ringo, Jesse James, Henry Plummer, John Wesley Hardin, and more. Silas also reveals the real reason he became a bounty hunter: revenge.
Surprise, surprise.
Tracking bounties made it easier to hunt down the men responsible for both of his brothers' murder. With each story, we witness his slow but painful descent from a man with morals into a cold-blooded killer. By the end, he is no different than the man he's been chasing. Back in the saloon, Silas is still hunting the last of the three killers, Roscoe Bob Bryant. And here comes a twist I genuinely didn't see coming. Silas knew all along where Bob was. Now he's going by Ben. He is the saloon's barkeep, the very man listening to Silas's story.
Inconceivable.
At this point, the game puts the decision in your hands. Do you kill him or do you let him live? The story and its delivery are, in my opinion, superbly executed, hooking me up from the very first minute. I'll talk more about how it's presented in the design section, since it ties heavily into the level design itself. The downside? It's short. Around 3 to 3.5 hours story. But I score story based on quality and not length, so as for story, Call of Juarez Gunslinger gets a well-deserved 5 out of 5 stars from me.
Of course, being I had a problem with heights, that scaffolding scared the bejesus out of me. Failure meant boom, then finally, at the last moment. Whew. Of course, I was successful, or clearly I wouldn't be talking to you folks here today.
No shit.
Call of Juarez Gunslinger is a fast-paced first-person shooter. The gameplay is split into two main parts: clearing out waves of enemies, and the real highlight of the game, which is the fast-draw duels, which I'll get to in a moment. Silas' stories take us across different locations all over the Wild West, mostly facing enemies from notorious gangs. Your tools for the job come down to 3 weapon types: revolvers, a Winchester-style rifle, and a double-barrel shotgun. It may sound limited, but realistically, that's exactly what the era offered anyway, so at least it stays authentic. Most enemies go down in 1 to 2 shots, with headshots being a one-hit kill most of the time. The game uses a score-based system. The more accurate you are, the more points you earn, which helps you level up faster. Across 3 upgrade paths represented as revolver cylinders, each unlocking different bonuses. Fill them up and you can unlock potentially a golden, beautifully detailed weapon skin for a said weapon. Like any shooter post Max Payne, there is always a form of a bullet time. Here it's called concentration. Each kill fills up a meter, and even if it's not full, you can activate it at any time to slow down time. Enemies are highlighted in red, making them easier to track, and with upgrades you can even boost your damage in this mode or even the longevity of that concentration. In certain scripted moments you'll get ambushed, triggering a cinematic QTE-style sequence. Pull them off successfully and you genuinely will feel like a cowboy legend. But don't forget that you're not bulletproof. 2 or 3 hits and you're dead. That's where a very cool mechanic comes in, your last chance survival. If your skull meter is full, the game triggers a slow motion as a bullet is fired at you. You then get a chance to dodge it, Matrix Agent Smith style, and if you succeed, your health is restored and the fight continues. If you don't have a skull meter full, then you're done. Staying out in the open is a death sentence through and through, so using cover is essential here. The gunplay here is set in a way that the bullets are traveling projectiles, so it's not a hit scan game. Your crosshair is mostly showing the general direction of where those bullets are gonna go. So don't be surprised if you fire 12 shots while dual wielding 2 revolvers and only 2 of those bullets connect. In this game, you are the stormtrooper. The enemies, they're all Han Solos. Get used to seeing that death screen too, by the way.
God damn it.
Now, fast draw duels. During key moments, you will face outlaw leaders in duels. Here's how it works. You need to focus on 2 things at the same time. One is going to be to keep your reticle on the enemy as long as possible. The higher the percentage, the stronger your slow motion advantage. And number 2 is to move your hand as close as possible to your holster. The closer it is, the faster you will draw. Balancing both is the key here to winning this draw. As tension builds, you'll hear a heartbeat, your signal that the draw moment is near. But here's the twist. Draw too early, history will remember you as the coward in this duel. Weird rule, but fine. Throughout the campaign you will also find nuggets of truth, collectibles that provide historical context, and detailed biographies of figures like Billy the Kid, Butch Cassidy, and so on. After finishing the story you unlock 2 additional modes. Arcade mode, which is clearing levels as fast as possible and then you compare time with friends, and duel mode, which replays only the duels section. Now, here is the problem. Since this game was devised, in my opinion, more as a I'm sorry I've letter after the slap on the face fans got with the previous title call of Juarez the Cartel, this game doesn't have an incorporated multiplayer mode.
Inconceivable! You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
And this pretty much sealed the deal, not just on this game, but on the whole franchise as well. And despite the fact I'm not the biggest fan of multiplayer, especially if it's a competitive type PvP, I would be lying through my teeth like an old gypsy if I don't admit that this is a huge whoops moment on behalf of the developers.
You blew it!
With these characters and mechanics, a simple, even arena-style mode would have worked amazingly. Perfect, even here. And that brings us to the final verdicts on the gameplay. The story is great, but the game is short, around 3.5 hours. The extra modes don't add much longevity, and without multiplayer, there's really not much reason to stick around. So, for gameplay, I give it a 3 out of 5.
Sorry I had to ruin the legend for you, boy. But the legend ain't always true.
Oh, death. Oh, death. Won't you spare me over till another year? What is this that I can't see with ice cold hands taking hold of me? Well, I am death, none can excel. I'll open the door to heaven or hell. Oh, death, someone would pray Could you wait to call me another day?
So are you gonna answer the question?
What question is that?
Okay, let's start with the obvious, the visual style. The game uses a cel-shaded look, very reminiscent of the Borderlands series. Personally, I don't mind it. It still looks decent, even by today's standards, but nothing groundbreaking. The only thing I didn't like about it is that for some reason in this game the colors seem to be a little bit too bright. This style, especially when it comes to the outlaw gang leaders, kind of makes them look a bit cartoonish, but honestly I don't see that so much as a negative, more like I'm neutral to it. Where the game really stands out though is in its level design. Each episode or story is shaped by Silas's memories, and we all have to remember that at this point Silas is an old man. Sometimes details get fuzzy, things get mixed up, and the game just uses this brilliantly. Whenever Silas remembers something differently, the level itself changes in real time. A blocked path suddenly opens up because now there's a ladder there. Sometimes the people in the saloon question his stories, and Silas adjusts it on the fly.
Yep, the Apaches always appeared out of nowhere, and there never seemed to be an end to them.
Hold on. Were you attacked by Apaches? What happened to the cowboys?
Did I say they were Apaches? I said Clanton's cowboys attacked me Apache style. I was in a pitched battle, but I was holding my own against an overwhelming enemy force.
Between episodes, you get short interactions between Silas and the saloon patrons, presented in a static comic book style panels. The voice acting is excellent, especially Silas. The soundtrack fits the setting perfectly. Gun sounds are really good, especially the revolvers.
It's the street. Get ready. They want to make a move.
And you know, the sound of the whistling and the ricocheting bullets is like straight out taken from a Western film. The game is linear, so there's no chance to get lost. Just follow the gold star marker and you'll be good. Honestly, there's little to criticize here. Even performance-wise, the game is very stable. So, for design, 5 out of 5.
I could swear to God I saw Billy then.
Billy who?
Billy the kid. William Bonney. He was shooting at me from a rooftop.
What now?
Here, there, even over there.
Call of Juarez Gunslinger is a little gem that will satisfy any fan of the Western genre. Yes, it's very short, but the best way to describe it is short and sweet. Out of all the Call of Juarez games, this is the one I'd recommend without hesitation, especially if you can grab it on sale. Final score for Call of Juarez Gunslinger, 4 out of 5 stars. Thank you all for watching. This is SaltyKal. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my honest reviews. Thank you for being here. See you next time.
That man was faster than greased lightning. But being inebriated as he was, he didn't count his shots. And now, he was at my mercy.